Yo, yo, yo.
Do you know what really grinds my gears?
It's when I start early. When I start early before the beer is cracked and poured out into the glass.
Yeah, I was going to let you do the intro, and I'm like, no, do you know what grinds my gears?
All right, we chose violence today. Let's do this.
We might be just restarting it, because I know we were trying to clean things up after last week. But here's the thing. We were playing poker the other night, right?
Yes.
One hockey game comes on.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the big first, Edmonton's first game at home.
Yeah.
And they did all the introductions. They took all this time, and then they had the "We Stand with Israel," and I'm like, that's kind of nice. That's a bold thing to say. And then somebody in the background blurts out, "I wish they would keep politics out of hockey." And in my head, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Like, you motherfucker. Like, really? But right after that, bam, all of a sudden there is a chief, like an Indian chief wearing Oilers jersey saying, you know, like, we do this on the ancient land of
blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
So
here's my real problem with that. One, it's about time that Edmonton stood up to somebody, especially after the pure unconsensual garbage they put on 2 nights before. That because there was no way that was consensual. 8-1. They need to stand up to somebody.
You mean the game? Yes.
That was unconsensual, and CBC aired it. That was violating.
That was crude. There was no lube.
No,
that was
not nice. And I realized that somebody was just listening, like they're listening in order of what we recorded.
I thought you guys. We didn't say we were cleaning it up.
No.
That was in your head.
With that being said, I'm like, that I stand with Edmonton. That's the best thing they've done all year.
All year. I mean, it's only been 2 games in, but all year. But you know what?
That's including last year.
The guy had a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't say keep hockey when it's
because you got the stolen net, and no one complained about that.
When it's the woke indigenous, like this is the stolen land of whoever people. You can't poo-poo that, be like, keep hockey, and then be like, yeah, we do stand with Israel when they put that thing on the too, right? Like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yep.
And that guy had a point. Even though because it struck against a chord that we feel strongly about, we were like, you motherfucker, you can't say that.
But then they did do the Aboriginal thing, and I'm like, that's not really necessary. I'm just waiting for the tribe that was on the land before them came in. It was like, hey, you took it from us. Like, that was ours first, and then the other tribe comes in, I don't know, like, just goes down the line. It's like stolen land that they stole, and then those guys, then these guys, and now white people. Yeah, only people who have to apologize are white people. If a native stole a native's land, it's like, that's just culture.
It's culture, that's right. Stealing, for white people to steal their land, that's cultural appropriation. You're not allowed to do that. That's our thing.
I realize we shit all over our introduction. Hey, everybody, this is Blue Collar Philosophers Podcast. Welcome. This is BikerMic.
This is him, and this is me.
Kickstand. And we are Blue Collar Philosophers.
Which means we philosophize without having any education or business doing it whatsoever.
Yeah, no right to own these microphones.
We have no right to do this. But we do, because we're middle-aged white men, and that's what we do.
It's what we do. We drink IPAs, and no, we don't.
I hate IPAs.
I don't like IPAs anymore.
Real IPAs, like,
too pretentious. They're like a pretentious beer.
It is. And like the hops in it are like, it's
unsettling.
It's too... It's like you have to try so hard to like it.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like, I would just rather anything else.
Give me a lager. Give me a pill. Just give me a beer.
Well, even a stout. Like, I like a good stout.
Oh, yeah, you love a good stout.
They're, good and creamy.
Yeah. They got a full body. There's so much to them. Whereas, and it's not pretentious.
But when a beer reminds you more of blue cheese than it does beer, it's too much. It's so tangy. Like, I don't like it.
It is. So, I hope nobody from my Bible study last night is listening.
I do. I really, really hope you're here.
So,
okay, we need to get somebody from your Bible study on to explain to us exactly how big of a hypocrite you are.
only if they listen to this will they know. And if they're listening, it's like, what kind of smut are you listening to?
I'm gonna give them all the worst episodes to listen to beforehand to prep.
Like, hey, you should listen to this. I'm 15. Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the leaders.
Here you go, guys. Youth group. Yay.
So, I took a hoot right before going, thinking I'd be fine. I showed up to Bible study kind of high. And I'm like, a lot higher than I intended to be. And then he's like, we're talking
I really wonder if your pastor listens to this.
Like I said, I hope not. If they do, I'll be like, I was fine. I was, but I was a little higher than I intended on being. And it's like masturbating before going out. You know everyone does it, but you don't talk about it. And you just assume everyone knows. It's like, that's what I felt like while I was being high. I'm like, everybody knows.
I didn't see that coming at all. Oh.
Everybody knows that you did it, and nobody does. Nobody has any idea. And unless they spend enough time with you where they know how you act before or after an event, like while you're high, people aren't going to know.
So you're a little paranoid.
Yeah, I was. But at the same time, I'm like,
is that a factor of the weed, or are you like a paranoid masturbator too?
I suppress pretty good. I don't know. I'm hoping. I'm worried at the point where I'm like, no one can tell. Anyway, so I was a little paranoid and a little bit like, I got to be on my game. And then I realized I overtalked on something, but I made a really good point. That's the thing. I can be kind of high and make some very, very, very good points where somebody's like, I know what you're saying, because we're talking about going to a prayer summit. And I didn't go high to that. But I went to it, and I enjoyed it a lot because it just seemed like everyone was there intentionally. Like they were just, it wasn't Christians checking a box on things to do.
Yeah. Can you explain to everybody what a prayer summit is?
Well, everyone knows what what is another word for prayer group? Like a prayer meeting. Prayer meeting, yeah. So everyone knows what a prayer meeting is. Well, it's like that. And that's it. It's a prayer meeting.
Okay.
But it's been rebranded to be something cooler because our church loves doing that.
They do love branding.
They love branding so much.
Like you were literally wearing a shirt the other day after church that said production crew on. I feel like you're a stagehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that you can zip in and out without being noticed when something goes wrong.
I do wear a security shirt some works too.
It's like a theater ninja.
No, I run main camera, so I don't move. Here's the irritating part about running main camera. All the other cameras are moving. Like they're manually being moved around. Like they got these little iPhones on stands that they're walking around with to make it so you're like, oh, get this shot. Oh, get a little of the crowd. Get a little of this. And they're all over the place. Main camera's steady. It's a rock. And apparently that's unsettling. So when you go from a shakier camera to a solid camera, it's weird.
It's a little unsettling then. Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That's what they say. And they're like, Mike, we need it to be free flow. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it. It's like, Mike, we need it to be free flow. I'm like, oh, what they really want is me to fabricate movement and human thing. Because I've got a steady hand. If you say free flow, it means it's unlocked so that if I move, it moves. And so there's a lot more failure. But if you got a steady hand, no one's going to know that you're fine. Like, it's like, no, this is free flow. This is I am such a solid individual.
Very, very steady.
So I was like, oh, you want fabricated flow. So I fabricated flow. So I'm just moving my hand intentionally to make it look like I'm free flowing. And I'm like, it's frustrating.
That's kind of funny.
It's so faux.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I went to this prayer meeting, very intentional. It seemed really, really good for the most part, minus the fact that they weren't praying for Israel, when I really feel like they missed the mark there. Like, I don't know, if we believe in the power of prayer and that is as all-encompassing and supernatural as it is, I think we should be praying for Israel pretty strong and be like, hey, you guys believe this to be the best thing that we can do? Cool, let's put it towards the biggest thing. Why are we focused on micro things right now? Micro will still be here when we're done.
Do I want to sound like a dick or not?
You can if you want. You're the one who loves macro. I'm the micro guy.
Well, just to sound like a little bit of a dick, like Peterson says, like sometimes when you don't understand what the motivations are, look at the outcome, and then you can see what the motivation is. So if you're wondering about why you're not using prayer to talk about the most important thing to you, it means because that wasn't the most important thing to them.
Mm-hmm. And that was my worry. And that was my heartfelt pain in that moment of why are we so focused on our little shit when there's so much happening right now that we could be focusing on. And so, yes, they were intentional. Yes, it was really good. But I do not feel like they took into consideration, like, are they worried about a landmine? Like, why not tackle this should be simple thing?
I mean, I don't want to speak towards what their intentions were because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But,
ignorance, maybe not knowing what's going on.
yeah, either not knowing or not giving it enough thought to care about, or just actually the other things mattering more to them.
Or here's the second one: they had their set agenda of what they were doing,
and weren't going to pivot.
They were like, no, we know what we're going to be talking about tonight. This is what we're praying about. It's like there was no room for flow. There was no room for the movement. There was no room for things to change. But why wasn't I willing to go up and deal with that? Why wasn't I willing to be the one to stand up and be like, hey, we need to pray for Israel right now? Do I feel like I don't have that place or that authority to speak in that way? Because I feel like maybe I do. I've been there long enough, and they tell me, it's like, Mike, you got a problem, you just come tell us. And maybe I could have, but at the same time, I was on my way out. I like kind of just showed up just to...
Did it happen after you left?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Because
I didn't hear whether it did.
Okay. Well, I mean, in that case, then just from good faith, it could have very well been done after you had stepped out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, and that's the thing. For a while I was there, kind of disappointed, but at the same time, it did feel like there was something there. There was something happening. Like it was legit. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting question though. Like, how much does one focus on the biggest things going on in the world? Like, it needs some attention, but at the same time, like, is that attention fabricated at times too, right? Like, we have news and all that stuff going on. Like, there was a time in the not too distant past where this thing popped off and nobody outside of 100-mile radius knows about it, right? And the things going on where you're planted are at the top of your mind, of your things. Like, this is the place where you not only have focus in, but that is the soil in which you're growing, that is the focus, that you need to spend in, and it is the place that you have authority over.
Yeah. Like, I don't have time to worry about who the King of England is. I need my crop to grow.
Yeah. you know that.
Like my kids are starving. I don't care right now.
Yeah, I can't be too overwhelmed by the global problems going on in Christendom when, I need to go and be there for a grieving mother, who lost her child or her husband or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, there's
But the things they were praying for,
to be in place.
The things they were praying for just seem so menial. Like, really, this can wait. It was such small potatoes that I was like, do you not trust that God is going to take care of this thing? And the last night I had the same problem. So I would go to the Bible study, and I like words. Mm-hmm. I'm very focused on words. So when somebody says something, I need to know what they mean when they say it.
Okay, so you're into witchcraft then?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course. How do you figure that?
So words are they're a human invention.
Yes.
And it's something that is when something is defined, it in essence crystallizes or dies and becomes a tool to wield. It becomes a conscious, very much what paganism is about regarding nature and concepts and things like that, right? So if you're too invested in definitions or technicalities and stuff like that, it is kind of rooted in a focus on what you can control, and that's the heart of witchcraft or paganism.
Well, I don't think it was more on that. I think it's on the what do you mean when you say this? Like, so when you talk about fear of the Lord, when you talk about fear of the Lord.
No. But even say, like, an over-focus on that puts you in the place where you can duel. It puts you in the place where you can, what do you mean by that? Oh, this is what I mean. And then you can tete-a-tete, repartee, and you can impose will by definition. It sets up a scenario in which you can win. So
I think it's not so much a win, it's a understand. Because I'm not looking to tell someone what the word actually means. I'm looking to understand what they mean when they say it.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to fear of the Lord, it's something, okay, so this happened last night. I don't like the way that we understand the word fear of the Lord when they say that, because it's a lot of like a timid, like a beaten dog, like kind of, fear the Lord, the fear of the Lord brings wisdom, and it's like, you got to be afraid of God. You got to be, he'll smite you. If he hasn't smitten you yet, he'll smite you.
Almighty smiter.
Almighty smiter, smite them. And so when I've tackled that, I'm like, okay, what are you trying to say when you say this? God, like, what do you mean by fear? Yes, I should fear you as an almighty being, but that's so simple. That's so primitive.
I know. How dare something be simple?
Yes, because
sorry, I'm being a dick tonight.
You can go ahead. Anyway, so I did this thing of listening to other people and being like, and they said, what if we saw fear in a different light of, I fear what he thinks. I don't just fear him as an all-powerful being, but I fear what he thinks of my action, how I'm conducting my life. So the fear of the Lord brings wisdom. It's because I fear how I conduct myself and how he views me. So I'm like, that puts it in a lot more understandable, a lot less malice, a lot less anger, a lot less, I don't know, I think malice intent. Like the whole just, he's going to hit me. He's going to smite me. And it's like, yes, he can. But how can we, am I supposed to live in the fear all the time? It's like, no, he's a great dad who loved me. And
well, I've met your dad. It's really, really hard to imagine how.
He was, that boy knew how to hold a belt.
He's so nice, though.
He could put a whooping on, I'll tell you what. And so.
I didn't mean that he was wimpy. He just has such a pleasant demeanor.
Oh, he does. They called him Mr. Mean because he was just happy all the time and smiling.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's actually a fantastic kind of like little twist to put on it to, I don't know, broaden the concept or maybe have a more wise view of what fear could be.
Yeah, and so I used that. I used it at Bible study a few weeks ago, and one of the guys who's leading Bible study, he's like, "I got to give you a shout out. Like, I got to tell you right now, my wife and my son, and we were talking about fear of the Lord, and she asked me what I thought of fear of the Lord, and I used kind of what you said."
Nice.
And I'm like,
so you've been plagiarized. You've made it.
I've made it now, and so and it was because I got hung. It was because I got hung up on another word. I was reading Romans 12:9, and it says, "Love your enemy as yourself," or "Love those who persecute you," and all this stuff. And I'm like, what does that mean? And it's really hard to love your and hate what is evil. And they were like, hate evil. And then just looking at these words and knowing that this is not just, it's like hate evil. It's like, okay. And somebody else is getting hung up on that. And then I read my translation and they said, hate what is wrong. And I'm like, okay, wrong is an action. Evil, we impose on a thing. So if we hate what is evil, evil can be both an action and a thing. And so if we hate what is evil, even with what's going on in the Middle East right now, we don't hate the people. We hate the action. And we condemn the action. So it's not that we're not just called to hate people, or we're not called to hate people. We're called to hate evil. So the actions that's going on. And I'm like, Okay. And so just having that breakdown in words and stuff like that, looking at
Yeah.
different translations.
But I was being really facetious when I said
I know.
the witchcraft
I
thing.
know.
Like I said, I
Well-
was kind of just intentionally trying to be a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's, yeah, you're 100% right. Like, you do actually need to sit and ponder words. Because like you said, like, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. And then some other place in the Bible it says, like, there is no fear in love. Or
Yeah.
there is, like, there,
Love casts out all fear.
right? You're like, wait, huh?
Are you saying the Bible contradicts itself? How dare you? Straight to hell.
No. There's an easy way around that, and that's the loophole of saying, well, you're mistranslating one of them.
I like
That's
it.
your get out of jail free card every time.
Yeah, it's just yeah, no, they had a different word in the Greek.
But no, it's so one concept or one word can kind of represent a number of different facets of a concept, right?
Oh, yeah.
So and you learn what those facets are through context, right? Like you said, like that kind of like that recoiling fear of
Recoiling, that's a great, like,
Yeah,
that's
that-
the word that,
that recoiling fear of wrath and kind of like it's that sharp fight or flight instinct that turns into a bigger phobia sort of thing, right? Like, yeah, like that's not the thing you should be thinking of when you think of God, unless you really suck,
yeah,
because then that's maybe justified.
that's like the people that says only God can judge me with a tattoo on them.
Yeah.
It's like,
They
that
say-
should scare you.
They say the gospel's good news.
For who?
For whom?
Uh,
But yeah, so
well, it's
But
that
yeah.
that verse that everyone loves to say, every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. It's like, you think they'll be doing that by choice? They're going to be like, oh shit.
crap. Yeah, but that
they're
perfect
not bowing by choice. They're bowing because
that perfect thing, the perfect love that drives out fear. In context, knowing what you know from that, was it a proverb? Yeah, or is it a psalm?
I don't remember.
I think it's a proverb. Anyway, one of those two. But based on that when it says perfect love drives out fear, it's not talking about wisdom, because that's an actual virtue.
Yeah.
So when it says fear in this context, you need to think about the different aspects of
Yeah.
fear that the human person feels and engages with.
I do hate in the English language how there are just some words that don't translate. Like, we just don't have a good word for it. And it's so frustrating because these people, they'll be like, they'll look at the word love and be like, oh, yeah, love. Okay, I know that word. It's like, no, you don't. Because
Is it eros?
is it
is it,
rhema? Is it
yeah.
what's the multitude of words for love that they have in Greek and Aramaic
Yeah.
and shit like that? And it's like, this is unfortunate. And French is worse. Do you know how to say I like you? Je
How's that?
t'aime.
Je t'aime.
Je
Okay.
t'aime. Do you know how to say I love you? Je t'aime. Same thing.
Okay. So how do you throw the extra emphasis on for love?
Je t'aime beaucoup. I don't know. It's just a lot. Oh. Lots
that's
of
good.
kissing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I went to a not a conference, but a class, kind of like a day of lectures a few weeks ago, and the professor there had made a really, really important statement that, when you think about it, is obvious, but it's good to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're reading something in the Bible in your own language, you're reading a translation, not the true word of God, like not the autograph. Every time you're reading a translation, you are getting all the choices that the translator is making, and they're not always clear what to do.
Well, the unintended biases, right? Like he's as people, we have unintended biases that we can't avoid them. The way that we get dressed in the morning is
and not everything comes across the same way as in the original language or even in the autograph. Not everything comes across over time, as mores and economics and
we used to be
politics
able to say the N-word like that. It's just looking at something that things change. We can't say that anymore.
There was a time when we could have described this evening as very gay because we were having a great time, lots of laughs,
the gayest of times.
Yeah, and now people are like, "What have you guys been doing when the mic turned off?" Right? Like, those are very silly examples, but that's
prime examples.
But they're true nonetheless.
Yeah,
so it's,
or queer.
Queer.
Such a queer night tonight. Huh.
Yep. So when you're encountering these old books and wisdom and stuff like that, you can't always just sit on face value. You have to do a little bit of meditating in order to get the heart.
Yeah. I'm about to start another book.
Which one's that?
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited because I'm
interesting. You're getting right into Roman philosophy then.
Yeah, a little bit. The thing is, from my understanding of it, was that he never wrote it to be published, and it was discovered post-mortem, and it was turned into a book against his will. Like, he wrote it for himself. It was like a journal.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean against his will. It's just without his permission. Because he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. What is he going to do? Stop you? He's dead. So, I'm going to be starting that one here pretty soon after I'm done.
Every time I hear of Marcus Aurelius, all I can think of is the movie Gladiator.
Right?
It's like I have such a hard time.
If he doesn't bring up Maximus at least once.
Yeah, it's like my view of Marcus Aurelius. There was this
gladiator in the...
It's so ahistorical. I'm just like, oh yeah, the guy from the Gladiator that got killed by his son, but he really, really loved Marcus or loved Maximus.
Maximus. That guy. Oh, I love the mythos, man. I love just the mystery of the history and how they just attribute all these great historic events that happened. And I'm like,
I know, it's fascinating.
It is.
Ooh, you got some crackly action happening
my
there.
mic went
I don't know if that's going to come through
might
in the episode, but I can hear it in my headphones.
Yeah, it was happening in mine too. That's why I touched the microphone. If our mics ever get a little too hot or staticky, all I got to do is just touch it and it goes away. So, what else did I have? Yeah, went to the Bible study with all the words and all that stuff. Yeah. Hi, just trying to not sound retarded. And I'm like, okay, and they're
make word good.
With that being
words
said,
very good.
Romans 12 was a tough read for me. Also had that one verse that I sent to you last night where it was
I'll pull it up. Where's my phone?
It's on the ground. Something about ordinary people, and I'm like, I feel like sometimes you and I have extraordinary conversations, and I feel bad for the people who like eavesdrop and like don't know what they're getting themselves into.
All right, I'll pull it up. Mm-hmm. You said it's weird having you send me scripture. It feels like that hasn't happened in a long time. Right now, we just send dirty memes to each other. That's pretty much it. Romans 12:16. Live in harmony with each other. Don't be too proud to enjoy the company of ordinary people, and don't think you know it all.
Now that is a verse that I have constantly got stuck in my head, and then I forgot the wording, or I forgot where it was, or I just forgot. And I'm like, how does it go? I know it has to do with ordinary people. And it's like, okay, where is it? And I stumble upon it because, somebody put out the verse or this section of scripture to read, and I'm like, there it is. I need to send this to Devin so I don't forget, because he won't forget, because I'll forget. And that was one of the verses that jumps out to me, and then just a bunch of them, and it's like, Mike, what jumped out to you? I'm like, so much. I'm like, this one is good. That was a simple one, because I'm like, this describes our podcast. Mm-hmm. Because for I feel like I'm an ordinary person. Like I'm not an educated person. I don't consider myself above
You're a very
anybody.
Special ordinary person. You're ordinary, but not too ordinary.
Yeah. Strange. I'm a little queer. And
Well done, good sir.
So, and I'm like, okay, I've been around people who get blindsided by our conversations when we were talking about having remember the two hemispheres of the brain being cut in half and how it affected the people, or
yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. We're having this really great conversation, and somebody came halfway in, and they're like,
Turned around like, nope, I'm out.
no, I'm out, and I'm like, huh, I didn't think it was that deep of a conversation. Or that extraordinary. But to some people, that would be considered an extraordinary conversation. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm an extraordinary individual. And then I talk to somebody smart like Chris Date or...
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I know nothing.
I might be retarded.
I see. Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, all right. To some, I may seem more... I don't like using the word extraordinary because...
Erudite.
I'm a little above in some areas, but then I hang out with like normies, like pipeliners and stuff like that. I'm like, this okay, all right.
Yeah, I think it's just a kind of having a kind of homely air about yourself that like I can kick it with anybody.
Yeah,
like if you don't want to talk about that, all right, cool. Let's talk about the Oilers.
Yeah, let's talk, or somebody who's winning
or somebody that's winning
that didn't blow a 3. No,
I mean they did come back and pull that whole no lube thing on the Predators the night after. So
did they?
We did. Yeah, we got one back
on the Predators.
Yeah, slaughtered them.
Wow, that reminds me. I got to check and see how Toronto did because Toronto is playing Predators.
He's
tonight,
literally
tomorrow.
checking hockey scores on his phone right now while we're recording.
It'll take me 2 seconds. Oh, I don't want to talk about it. Panthers beat my Leafs 3-1, but
Dang.
they did it last year for the playoffs. So
that is true.
it's not like it's like we lost to the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we talk about a little bit of transhumanism?
I don't know. We can.
We can. I just realized I blew that was all my jokes and my stuff when it came.
Oh, I thought you had a joke you did not want to tell me.
Yeah, no, it was the one about no lube and stuff.
Oh, okay, yep.
The lewd.
The lewd nature of the Oilers getting completely taken advantage of by the Canucks. It feels weird saying that.
I didn't know CBC. I didn't know CBC was into pornography,
stuff porn,
right on the television for everyone to see. See, that was a joke that I'm like, do I want to do this? Maybe no. Let's wing it. Because if it came across too incorrectly, we could just restart it. And that's why I blew it right in the beginning. Because I'm like, just gotta put it out there.
Put it out there. Yeah. All right. So transhumanism.
So we're talking a little bit about transhumanism.
Well, yeah, you made an offhand joke because we just finished recording an episode of Amateur Christian, and you made an offhand comment in there about Neuralink.
Yeah, because I was like, we could wait to record this. If you wait for perfection, you'll never do it.
Never get around to something.
Do get around to it, there'll be Neuralink.
Then the next thing's already happened. It's going to be Neuralink, and you're completely irrelevant.
Yeah, you're irrelevant or being reprogrammed. And that's...
Ooh, reprogramming. I hadn't thought of that.
Neuralink and reprogramming? How is that not something that's on the front of mind? Because they're going to be able to inject thoughts into your brain while you're sleeping, while you're awake, borderline...
How would that work? So my conception of what Neuralink is, and I'll just explain it to the detail of what I know for the listeners that are like, what the frick are you talking about?
Yeah.
So Neuralink is a thing that Elon Musk is working on where they cut a hole in your skull, I think just behind your ear, and basically put in a chip that is wired into the neural network of your brain and also into your optics. So you can kind of it's almost like the Terminator or RoboCop where you will be able to kind of see overlaid onto reality your digital stuff, or maybe even have it sent to your phone. But basically, they send information straight into your consciousness, or you can kind of communicate with it like some kind of cyborg. It'll be like an augmented, it's an augmented brain computer.
Yeah. Now, one of the biggest worries with that is, they've already got the ability to inject speakers with it, right? Like you can have a speaker injected in your skull and it runs on some kind of battery system. I have no idea what.
Mm-hmm.
But how is that any different? They're going to be able to interface, and how is it not able to be hacked? And a phone line doesn't work one way. It's not like, oh, I get to control my phone. It's like, no.
No, the phone controls you more than you think it does.
Yeah.
Like
And
even just like the way algorithms are programmed in social media, it's training you into actual certain behaviors by giving you kind of a carrot and a stick. Like it gives you something that produces a dopamine, dump in your brain, and you're like, "Ooh, that felt good. I'm going to do that again," only subconsciously. So yeah,
yeah. But then there's the negative bypass, or the negative. What do they call it now? Negative impact. So if you get not a dopamine, but a reaction to negative feedback, like, oh, I disagree with it, but it makes you engage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get the same kind of kick.
Yeah, you get the same kind of kick. And yeah, it is easier to do that with negative feedback. So you're almost cutting out the middleman of social media if those thoughts can go straight into your if that data can go straight into your thought processes.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Without the middleman of your eyes.
Yeah. That's such a weird thing to me, because could you imagine? Because it wouldn't have to do it very much. It would just do little things here and there, here and there. It would see you do something, and it's like, oh, that was kind of dumb. And you might not even think it's that dumb. You'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then, but something in you tells you, well, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. And so that would be
and then you shut down your own conscience. You shut down your own brain waves of saying what you think of something, because, oh, why did I think that was dumb? Because it's going to come across as you.
Interesting. So it's almost like the way your brain already works, except the feedback loop is going to be sped up so much.
Yeah.
That it's going to, like, I could see that being just beyond the scope of what humanity can handle. We're already having
crazy thought.
Depression issues. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, crazy thought. If your Neuralink can affect the way you think, what is it to stop it from releasing endorphins into you when you think something? So let's say hypothetically it injects a thought and then simultaneously releases endorphins into your system as it's injecting that thought, creating a false feedback loop.
Interesting.
Or false positive, I guess it would be.
Yeah. Oh, that would be super dangerous.
Right? How could you not reprogram people?
Yeah, like for instance,
with that kind of stuff?
For instance, you could just be like, all right, the whole world, we want you to do this one thing. So we could just, put in like this little thing into your mind that says Hamas good, and then instantly trigger a dopamine dump. And then every time that you
think about Hamas,
yeah, like, even to the point where every time you choose to think that to get the dopamine dump, like it would be reinforcing it more and more and more.
See, I didn't think of it that way. The chosen enforcement.
Right, because at first it's the carrot, that's given to you, and then it's the choice you make, and then you're rewarded for the choice. That would be very, very effective.
I think that's a two-step down the road kind of thing. It's like, oh, we'll give you a little kick. Oh, we'll give you a little one more. And then it's like, if I think this way, then it's going to give me this dopamine kick.
Yeah. I mean, that's how any drug dealer works, right? Like, and after that, if you think it's worth it, then here's what the cost is. The next thing you know, somebody's spending their whole paycheck at the trap house.
Mm-hmm. I know people.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, that doesn't come out of nowhere. There's also like that certain carrot that's presented, the free gift of this feeling, and then you choose it, and once you choose it, you're it. You belong to it.
Oh, that's so crazy. I never thought about it that way. I thought about it my way, but
that's frightening.
That is terrifying.
I hope that humanity collectively has the wisdom to say no.
I'm good.
We need to stay at a certain biological pace of development, and let's not go too hard in augmenting this, because we're going to make humanity so much worse.
Yeah. It's going, I don't know.
Do you think there's going to be like
There's not going to be forced. There's not going to be forced, and the people who do buy into it,
they're not going to have to. But
the people that are programming will be like,
if this is an option for the public, it's just going to landslide like it. It's
Yeah.
going to be so fast and so hard. Like, it's somebody in the genesis of this needs to be like,
Yeah, but you're going to be able to tell who's been programmed and who hasn't.
yeah. No, what I'm just saying is, like, somebody before this goes any further needs to be like, you know what? We need to shut this shit down. Because once it's out there, it's Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Once Pandora's box is opened, you cannot get the thing back in. So, like, before that box is opened, somebody or a group of people or something needs to have the collective wisdom to say, like, this is like Tower of Babel level tampering with reality. Like,
Yeah.
we need to back off.
Have you heard of anybody talk about the whole brainwashing thing? I'll just say brainwashing because, again, of neurological programming through this, like what we were just talking about.
I've never heard anybody talk about it. Like, I've only engaged in information about AI at a very superficial level.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's somebody
I hope somebody
much
else is,
brighter than us.
I would hate
that
to be the
is-
first.
that has gathered that. Oh man, if we're the first ones to think of that, we're fucked.
I did really good on this test back in the day, and I was like, oh, I did the best on this test. We're doomed.
Via-
And I was like, what? I'm retarded. You guys just... I did
man,
the best.
Your mother-in-law the other day is hilarious. She hates it when you talk like that. Stop it. Stop it. You're not retarded.
I was being self-deprecating, and I was referring to myself as uneducated. No, I said, well, I'm dumb or I'm stupid. And I wasn't meaning that I'm literally dumb or literally stupid. I'm referring to I am an uneducated individual. Because Justin was talking about how people here, you can make $100,000 a year and not be high, like, you don't even know high school education.
You don't need to be a rocket scientist to make $100,000 a year here.
Yeah.
You just need to be willing to lift a shovel.
Yeah.
And, like, any old dummy can do it.
Yeah.
It's more of a motivation
Yeah.
thing rather than an intelligence thing to make money here.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, even a dumb guy like me and my mother.
Oh,
She's
she
like,
was.
"Stop it."
I could see that rub her raw instantaneously.
I'm like, okay, I don't actually think I'm dumb, but at the same time, I am not technically educated, and that's true. You gonna take that from me, huh? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with not being considered highly educated. It's the same because I've met educated people, and I don't think it's a huge I don't know. It's not special.
Seems like a lot of effort to spend on.
With some of them too. You work with really like people who went to school for a long time, and you're like, oh, you paid a lot for that education. It's like, yeah, I could make $120,000 a year. I'm like, yeah, but you're working with me.
Making about that.
I'm making about that, but it's like,
Yeah, it's but I mean that depends where you are and what your
Yeah.
passion is, right? Because if you have a passion for a field or for a train of thought and you need the expertise and education and devoted time to that to get good at that, then yes, you should absolutely become educated for it. Whatever the price that you will be, whatever the remuneration is for that field that you're getting into, great. Bonus, but you shouldn't be doing it for $100,000 a year because any old dummy can make $100,000 a year if you can work hard and go to the right place. But
Yeah.
if there's a field you're passionate about, be passionate about it for the passion's sake, not for the money's sake.
yeah. No, it does bring me to another thought I had when it came to listening to other people's podcasts.
I mean,
I'd be
sorry,
like,
unless you're Pentecostal and then you just believe God will fill your pockets with money and that will just happen. That's manifest.
you just go hang out with Joel Osteen just all day. I remember you, what's the word I want to use? Doing a double take on Joel Osteen. You made fun of Joel Osteen, justifiably. Bit of a twat. And then you're like, some people got saved. He did good things. And I think it was because of the influence that we had at the time. Looking back, do you regret, not rebuking, but like saying, maybe I shouldn't give him such a hard time?
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe to a degree because now that I'm like kind of free of consequences, I can say that stuff without people like jumping down my throat.
Yeah. But At the same time, there's always a little bit of nuance.
Yeah, but there should be, because yes, people are getting saved, and there is a certain amount of good that the guy is adding to the world. I think it's overshadowed by the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't ever purposely push somebody that direction. But if that's the thing that brought you into the fold and the gateway into a more grounded life, then great, awesome, no biggie. But I would never push somebody there. I would never promote it.
Yeah. You'd be like, do you know what you need? A little Joel Osteen in your life.
Yeah, and there's gotta be a level of you know what? Get a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Don't get too holier than thou.
Yeah.
About the holier than thou guys like me that want to make fun of weird shit.
Yeah. Just take that stick out of your ass and
you know what? Yeah, that is kind of funny.
And rest your head on it.
His stuff is not traditional Christianity, and I don't just mean it's
that's
not
from a Western way of looking at Christianity. Even Western Christianity,
yeah. It's really it's not. It's a novelty.
Yeah,
and I think at best it's heterodoxy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is and at worst drifts into heresy. But it's kind of a banal kind. It's not like you're slaughtering virgins at the temple to Satan.
Yeah, he's just making money.
He's just making money off of your gullibility. That's it boils down to that.
And if your god is money, then yeah, you're gonna have a problem with that. But if your god's not money, well, you'll be okay. Hopefully.
If your god's not money, you're probably moving on pretty quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the worship of mammon taking place in the auspices of Christianity, which is, I think, the part of it that rubs me the most wrong.
Oh yeah, it's just
and for those that heard me say the worshiping mammon
or auspices,
the illusion, Michael. Illusion, Michael.
I understood everything, but for other people that are listening,
yeah. What I mean of mammon is mammon was a god and an idol of the Old Testament, and actually the New. Jesus actually Jesus remarks on it as being something that people were into in his time too, but that was a god that was of money, of prestige. It's not just money. It's the spirit that embodies the love of money and all that comes with it.
Yeah.
If you were to kind of think of okay, what's a good litmus test of somebody who's outright sold out to the god of mammon, you might think of a YouTube presence like Andrew Tate. Would be a classic, that's his God, 100%. He may proclaim Allah. He doesn't really give a shit about Allah. Hate to break it to you guys that are Muslims. They're he's on our team. No, he loves mammon more than anything.
Yeah. Just ask, take, just okay, sacrifice all your cars.
Yeah, it's really. Yeah,
go and join Hamas. You just go proclaim your love for all this and join the cause.
Yeah, no,
he's not joining the cause. He's not leaving his money. He's not leaving his Lamborghinis because he could do great things with all that money. He could do a lot of things with it for the evil cause that is Hamas.
I'm sure there's an amount of him that is using his money for charity. I've seen some of that, but again, it's also used for clout, right?
Yeah.
Clout is a thing to do with mammon as well, right? It's the illusion of wealth, the illusion of greatness and generosity that comes with my wealth and with my becoming a great big man. Look at all the things that is making me mighty.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that is it. And guys like Osteen are doing that too, right? You have a you have a faux Christian imprint that is worshiping mammon, and then in the case of Andrew Tate, it's a faux Islamic, iteration of that worship of mammon. So ideologically, you're aligned to the same false god, even though you're in different religions.
Yeah.
And that can happen to secular people. That can happen to you and I, even with our lack of wealth. We can still worship at the altar of mammon by being so obsessed about what money can get us. What bike am I going to get if I ever get money? Like what things am I going to do with in order to get that?
With all that being said, like, I know that we don't worship mammon, but I'd like to welcome our new sponsor, vodka. You've heard what we said about vodka before. It's all a lie. Vodka's amazing.
It's all a lie. It's not gross potato water that tastes like cleaning solution. It's amazing.
It's amazing. This is the only vodka we drink. Vodka 203.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, if we ever get sponsored by vodka, just double check, on our heart place.
Yeah, our heart. Well, that's the thing. I can honestly say that will be the only vodka we ever drink on the podcast.
Ever.
If you see us drinking vodka, it'll be that one.
It's because of sponsorship.
Same bottle. We'll drink it once and just be like, yep, see, we didn't lie. I'm waiting for that. I am totally waiting for a vodka promoter to be like, I heard what you said about vodka.
Okay.
I'd like you to change your tune. And I'm like, I will not lie. I will not lie.
This is the most vodka we've ever vodka'd.
If you like vodka, if you like dirty potato piss water,
then you will love this. I guarantee if you buy this, you will be drinking vodka.
The best of all potato waters.
Of all the vodkas I've ever had, this is one of them.
Oh, yeah, mammon. But it would... The thing is, I don't think it would take much for us to sell out. I'm worried that. I am worried
that...
But what does it mean to sell out? Like, if somebody's like, oh, we want to... If a whiskey company, like Centuria Whiskey comes and is like, we want to sponsor you, it's like, fuck yeah.
Okay, well, if that
you can't criticize Japan. I'm like, cool. I don't care about Japan.
I don't care about that. But if somebody said, but you guys got to cut the Bible shit out, we'd be like,
nope.
Nah.
Pound sand.
Yeah.
What are we going to not talk about? No.
We're going to give you this amazing sponsorship, but you can never talk bad about Hamas again.
Yeah,
sorry.
Pound sand.
It's, things like that, right?
But
that would be selling out.
That would be.
But if it was listen, we love what you guys do. We would love to sponsor your thing, but the extremity of your language is not good for our brand. If you could tone down the F-bombs and then, we could do business together, that's a whole different that's a whole different conversation.
I would ask for a count. I'd be like, how many are okay?
Right? Is it like
each episode?
Is it like a PG-13 movie where you get 2?
Oh, was that Get Smart? Yeah,
yes,
Get Smart was a really good one.
The sequel to Get Shorty.
Yeah, where he's like, how many times you got to say fuck to get an R rating? Twice. Do you want to say fuck that? And then, do you know they only said it twice in that whole movie?
Yep.
Just to get that R rating. And I know they lost money doing it because you actually make less money on R-rated movie as opposed to PG-13.
Well, but they play in less theaters. There's less people that can go to it, right? You can't get the kids.
Yep. So you lose a lot of people. So yeah, I'm like, okay, what do you consider? Do we get 2? Can we say cunt?
I'm pretty sure that one's sacrificed on the altar of sponsorship instantaneously.
You cannot. You say it, and you gotta bleep it out. YouTube doesn't allow you to say it. Words you can't say right now on YouTube.
I can only imagine that business meeting would sound like an audio clip from Get Bruges.
You're an inanimate object. Sorry. It's the same movie.
Oh, that was such a good movie. Vanilla Will brought up that movie on the podcast when we had him on. I'd never seen it before, so I went and watched it after the fact.
Oh, you did go watch it?
I did, and I enjoyed the crap out of that movie.
It was a tough watch for me. I've seen it before. It was a hard watch.
I loved it. I was like, oh, this is neat. It's got this. It's a dark comedy. It's not like ha ha out loud funny, but it keeps setting up these little scenarios that subvert your expectation, and those are funny.
Yeah.
Even at the point at the very end, right? The big bad guy was coming for the main character and telling the guy that he wanted to whack him, listen, the guy killed a kid. That's Like, that is absolute game over. We cannot do this. He's getting whacked. This is consequences.
Yeah.
And the guy's kind of try to talk him out of it. He's like, dude, if I did that, I would have done the job to myself. Like, right? Like, I would have done it right then and there.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he kills this midget that they're all hanging out with and thinks it's a kid. And then right there is like, well, man of principle, and then blows his brains out. Like, that's fucking hilarious.
I feel like the whole movie was set up for that joke.
The whole movie was set up for that joke, exactly. And there's like little moments all the way through. I'm like, okay, this is pleasant. It's funny. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like obnoxiously humorous or obnoxiously dark.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed it.
I have to get a rewatch. I don't know. I watched it. Oh, it would have been 10 years ago now. And so I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago.
Yeah, maybe you like it.
Maybe I'll like it.
I can think like myself 10 years ago probably wouldn't have.
No, I'm sorry. You change year to year. Remember when you made fun of me for wanting to get a Victory Vision?
Yeah, that is true. until I saw what they looked like without the back and with ape hangers. I was like, oh, I see it. Like, because like I still hate the headlight.
Oh yeah, it's stupid. But you black out those blinkers, it looks fine.
Yeah, like looking at the bike head on, I could never get over it.
Yeah.
But then I saw a couple in real life, like kind of from the back and on the side. I'm like, oh, that the side fairings, like they curl around the engine in such a way that like highlights the engine like a picture frame.
Yeah.
And like little like details like that, I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
But like at first, all I could see was a space age Goldwing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we used to call it, what do we call that thing? Something Star Trek.
It was the
Enterprise.
Oh
yeah. But for me, for a long time, I didn't like Harley. But it was a tribal thing.
Was it a principle?
It was. I don't even want to call it a principle. Metric, and it was very like us versus them. And yeah, I ripped on Harley. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd get a $50,000 Harley, but I don't want to lose the horsepower.
I mean, there was a time when that was true, though.
Yes,
there was a time when that was a very well-earned trope.
Yeah, and I would make fun of guys who would only ever look at Harley because they're like, oh, and I still make fun of them. I still make fun of the guys who are Harley or nothing people. I'm like, really? Like, there's some great bikes out there.
Yeah, you haven't broadened your horizons at all.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand. I understand it, but I don't.
Like, I like bike. Like there's so many cool scoots out there in the variety of the world over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like the more you look at it with an open mind, there's more cool stuff that you can see and imagine getting, and they're all for different uses, right? Like, yeah, like nothing ever is going to road glide as much as a road glide does.
Yeah,
you know, but
I don't. I wonder if the Goldwing road glides more than the road glide.
At least from a style perspective, no.
Really?
I mean, like from
you've ridden both.
Oh yeah. Like I've ridden both, right? Like Goldwing's, like you sit like a standard bike, right? Your feet are very much like you're sitting upright in a chair. Mm-hmm. Your hands are kind of out front in front of you. It's designed for ergonomics. It's not designed for kind of like chilling.
Yeah.
It's for like, this is the proper way to sit. This is the proper way to ride with posture. And this is probably going to be good for your back in the long run, even though right in the short term you don't feel like chilling.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like a bike that tells me what to do, and that's the problem with it.
in a road glide, you're kind of stuck in a position though. You're like, all right, I'm on my tailbone, but my feet are out, my hands are up, and this feels bad ass.
Yeah, this feels so cool.
And like the sound is so different, the styling is so different, right? Like they are 100% different vibes all the way around.
Yeah, I saw this horrible video. I sent it to you. The two guys, they were comparing the Road Glide with the Goldwing.
Oh, with an old Goldwing.
Goldwing. And it wasn't even a fair comparison because they didn't give the passenger a sissy bar.
Yeah.
If they would have given the passenger a backrest, it would have changed the entire video. Guaranteed.
I forget what that channel is called.
Donut Media.
The Donut Media. But
they do a great... I love their videos.
You sent that to me, and I'm like, this video actually triggered me as a biker. I'm like, this is the most bullshit comparison I've ever seen. And
Right?
I'm usually the guy that, like you said, like kind of is quick to rip on Harley, or
Yeah.
the guy quick to be like, yeah, but I mean, like, it's a premium brand in name.
Yeah.
And everything else is just as good at what it does, but they don't have the premiumness.
Yeah.
But that video was just those guys being utter donuts and comparing apples to oranges, but at the same time they're like, I really, really, really love oranges. Let's compare apples to them and see if we like apples as much as oranges. It's
Yeah.
like, of course you're not. Like,
Yeah.
wow, this apple doesn't peel like an orange does. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
You know, like that was the vibe through
Yeah.
the whole video. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I was getting mad. My wife was like looking at me. She's like, why are you frowning? You're looking at your phone and you're like frowning and furrowing your brows. I'm like, shut up. This movie or this video sucks, but I have to watch it because maybe it'll be content.
And here we are.
Here we are. Worth it. You
Yeah.
hear that, honey?
No. No,
No.
she doesn't. She's not going to hear it because she don't listen. My wife doesn't listen either.
Nope.
With that being said, all they had to do to make that bike different, I guarantee you it's different because I've been the guy without the backseat, without the sissy bar. Yeah, it feels like your passenger's right on your ass, like literally pushing you forward.
They feel like they're pushing forward because they're afraid of falling off the bike. Like, there's nothing, like when you don't have a sissy bar or a backrest or a touring trunk on your motorcycle, your passenger has to really hug you
Yeah,
in order to feel safe.
and secure and balanced and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, you know, if you're sitting in a stool and you're like, I'm going to suddenly increase my velocity by 30 kilometers an hour in the next millisecond,
Yep.
right? You're going to fall off the stool.
Yep.
And that's what the passenger feels like without that thing locking their butt in.
Yeah. And my wife has actually trained herself to sit further and further back because, well, now we got the sissy bar, so she doesn't worry as much.
Yeah.
But my back tire, because it's a dark side, I get better control with her being further back on the tire.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
I imagine this probably increased the PSI in it with the extra weight right over top of it.
Yeah, something like that. It just gives me more stability.
I can't wait for next season you have a real tire on your bike again.
This year was a year of patience, like learning how to just chill and not go crazy. With that being said, tomorrow I'm parking the bike.
Oh yeah, the insurance is done?
No,
Permanent snow?
I don't know, but the weather looks for negative after that. Like, so it's going to snow and then it's going to stay in the negative for a week. So, yeah.
That's
Like Saturday will be okay, like 7 degrees. So Saturday is the day to actually park it.
yeah.
But I got a tournament on Saturday.
I usually have more time to enjoy the bike in October than I did this year.
Yeah. I think last year, didn't we go to Hudson Hope on my birthday?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's my birthday. Well, I was like, you can do what you want. And we went for a beer. You guys
Yeah,
didn't. I didn't think your dad knew it was my birthday, but we did.
Yeah, we had a whole passel of bikes. We rode out there. We didn't get to do as much of that this year as we have.
It was a rough year. It is what it is.
It really was. I'm praying that next year is more full, like of that enjoyment level for us.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I really want to get another bike so I can bob this one out. Because I've looked into it, and it's like $1,500 is a good bobber kit for my bike, and I'm like, I want it so bad.
Interesting. Does it hardtail or does it
Keeps it soft.
Keeps okay. So it keeps
But
the
a
shocks.
low profile tire or a low profile rear fender and a smaller front fender too.
Nice.
And it keeps it a solo seat, so I'm going to be able to put that one back on.
Oh, your Grinch seat will go back on.
Yeah.
Woo.
Or I'll just get another one, and hopefully I'm trying to condition that one back to life, like because it got really dried out. I was not good to it.
It got stuck out in the sun big time.
Yeah, it got cooked, and so we'll see. If I can't use it, I'll just buy another one and try that one out. And if I can't, it's not a big deal. So that's the goal: is to get the Road King next year, or yeah, that Lowrider ST keeps calling my name. I don't want it, but I want it.
It's such a nice bike.
It is.
I loved it. Like I want to try. Like there's a couple bikes I still want to try. Like to see what I want to be my next one. Like,
Yeah.
because like I really want to do a ride to the Arctic Ocean. I can't do that on a lowrider ST.
No, good. Arctic?
No, like I mean, like yes, technically you could get there, but it would beat the shit out of it.
I'm trying to think where the Arctic Ocean is.
So
it's like straight. It doesn't. It would have to be northern Alaska, wouldn't it?
You go to Dawson City, and then you backtrack like about 20 minutes because you need to go to Dawson City to fuel up, and then you head straight north through a place called Inuvik up to a city called, or a town, a village, a settlement called Tuktoyaktuk that is in Canada in the Northwest Territories, right on.
So there's a town called Tuktoyaktuk?
Yeah, the town is called Tuktoyaktuk, and it is a little native settlement that has a full year-round road to it that goes right to the Arctic Ocean. Oh. But it is over 800 kilometers from Dawson City, and that's all not just gravel, but it's all like this really rough northern permafrost kind of road. So it is.
Oh, that's not a Harley
rough
road. That is a Honda African Twin road.
Yeah, it's an adventure bike road.
Yeah,
because you're it's one way. It's over 800 kilometers. So to go from Dawson City to Tuck and back, you're putting on like 1,600 plus kilometers on rough gravel roads. Like so with a cruiser with like the really short and stiff suspension that they have to keep them low, it will just beat it to shit. You're gonna have bolts coming out. You're gonna have fairing fasteners break. You're gonna have mirrors fall off. Like you need decent suspension to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's an enduro.
Yeah. So that is the thing I'm looking at to be my next bike. Because I've got cruisers. They're not going away. But if I want to do that trip, then I need to.
What are you thinking, 2-3 years?
Oh, God. I want to do it next year so bad.
Oh, next year? Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get a fourth bike?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The hardship. You know, I've got my
I'm trying to figure out how I can make it work.
Yeah, I know. I've got my eye on the bike that I want to get to do it. Like, who knows if that'll happen,
but
right?
What is it?
It's a Triumph Scrambler 1200 XE.
Okay, 1200, that'd be good.
Yeah, so
I only say that'll be good because the higher CCs you're able to get better mileage out of.
What do you mean?
Well, the low CCs you're screaming on the highways to get any decent miles.
No, dude, you're still thinking in cruiser. You're still thinking cruiser.
Oh, really? It's like you're telling me you can get low RPMs and good fuel mileage?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So it
high RPMs because you're running a 600, 700 cc, but a 1200.
Its horsepower at peak is about 90. It's about 90 horsepower. So that's very, very good.
That's very good. Yeah.
Its torque is more than my intruder. At idle.
Yeah.
So at idle, it's already running with the torque of my intruder.
Yeah.
Plus high RPM horsepower, which gives it more acceleration the more throttle you're giving it. And it's got a fairly economic engine to it. So
that's what I mean. The
So,
higher CCs allow you to use less of them because you're just going to be punching along and you're not going to need to use all that.
Or you increase the efficiency of the design of your engine and get the same effect without the CCs, which is what Triumph has done.
Okay, so they've gone up in efficiency. Well,
they've increased the efficiency of power and fuel delivery so that you're getting more.
But what I'm saying is, less. If you were to go, let's say on a 600, like a 600cc enduro, because they're out there. I know that Suzuki makes one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 600cc. You'd be screaming up the highway, and if you wanted to go to the Arctic Ocean, you'd be using so much fuel because you'd still be trying to make some kind of time.
I suppose that would depend on gearing on it.
But then you're sacrificing any low end torque.
Yeah, any low end torque.
So if you're trying to go up any kind of hill, if you're going any incline at all,
but
you're going to be burning so much
I guess
fuel.
that would be the reason why Harley, BMW, KTM, Ducati, and now Triumph, like that would explain why they have all these adventure bikes that are big engines made for enduro type riding, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, they're not the thing that you're going to be taking like in the straight up woods on a single track riding like a dirt bike. However, this will do everything short of a rally course with a certain amount of care for the size, but in a bike that can travel and cruise on the highway effortlessly.
Yeah. You see, that's what I was saying. I wasn't trying to, say that it wouldn't get or it would give better fuel mileage or whatever. I'm just saying, like, it would work less hard.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. You got those higher CCs. You don't have to work as hard to get... Because you're not going to be riding it like a bat out of hell. You're not going to be, I'm going to go crazy on this thing on the highway. It's like, no, I'm going to putz along because I need this tank to last me as long as humanly possible.
Yeah. I mean, and that would be for one stretch. There's one stretch on that highway where you will need... Like, unless you have... like a 30-liter tank.
Yeah.
You will need fuel.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or about it. You have to bring a jerry can for one leg of that drive on the gravel.
Oh, yeah. And I think it'd just be good to have one at all times.
It would, because what if you have to double back? Or something like that, right? Like, yeah, so you need fuel.
Yeah. I think I'd try and shoot for an African Twin, or... I don't want to say BMW because they're so boring.
Mm-hmm. I would... totally be good with an Africa Twin. Yamaha. Oh, pardon me. I'm going to blow my nose.
Over there.
Now I sound like my nose is stuffed because it is.
All right, we'll give ourselves a little bit of a quiet moment.
Oh, gross. I got to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
All right, so Yamaha also has a pretty sick adventure bike right now called the Tenere.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's be honest. All adventure bikes are ugly as sin.
Yes.
Like
V-Strom's the ugliest, but they're all ugly.
And yeah, V-Strom, like that's like one of the, along with the BMW, those are like the quintessential adventure bikes.
Yeah. Ugly as sin.
The Africa Twins, they look a bit better than that.
Not much.
But it's
they're
enough.
all ugly in their own way.
Yeah. The Harley Pan America.
How do they get away with calling it an African Twin?
Oh, it's a classic name. They had an old adventure bike back in the 80s.
So it's Fat Bob, and they still
yeah. They had an old adventure bike back in the 80s that they did a specific rally race on in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the only twin engine that was in it. So they called their bike the Africa Twin.
Okay.
Because it was a twin engine that was doing an Africa rally. Like a big like endurance run sort of thing.
Okay.
So when they brought back an adventure bike, they went with that kind of heritage name.
Yeah. All right, so you're talking about the Yamaha.
Something about... I was talking about how ugly these bikes are.
Yeah.
Like, of the fully fared...
I was waiting for the butt.
Yeah, but of all the fully fared bikes, the Harley Pan America is probably the nicest looking.
Yes.
Like, it's not as nice as what a normal cruiser looks like, but you can see that kind of like road glide aesthetic kind of baked into the cake.
Yeah.
And it's actually... It's fairly handsome.
I'm glad that they've been out for a couple of years now too, so we can see a little bit of the flaws and stuff, and just kind of let them work out their kinks.
Let the market work itself out. But what I love about the Scrambler 1200 is it's actually a sexy looking little bike.
Yeah,
it has no fairings, like, so it's got like a round headlight. It's got a tank like a Sportster on it, or like a Triumph Bonneville. Like, it looks like a Bonneville, except with tall suspension and aggressive tires on it. And it's like, oh, like, that's something that I wouldn't blush at riding to a poker run or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's important to me because I'm a vain person.
Oh, right. There's nothing more satisfying than finding out that another dude likes your bike.
I know. It's
There's the gayest thing I own.
There's that movie out there, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. My favorite line from it is Harley going up to the guy and being like, "It's better to be dead and cool than alive and uncool." I'm like, he gets it. He gets it. Are you trying to look it up?
I am looking up the Triumph Scrambler.
Yeah, look up the XE in particular.
The XE?
Yeah.
1200 XE. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to keep it away from everything because I can hear it ticking.
It's clicking.
I just don't see the one with the bags on it because I see no bags.
No, yeah, I would have to figure out a luggage situation.
Yeah, it's cool. It is very cool.
Yeah, like that's something that I could actually like ride and keep for a while and not be like, please nobody see me while I'm on this thing.
Yeah. The thing is, if I was going to get...
That's exactly how I would feel on a V-Strom.
If I were to get something similar to that, I would want to go for the Husqvarna or the KTM or something like that. I would just... If it was going to be in that vein of, I don't know, on-road, off-road thing without the bags, I'm like, oh, that Husqvarna, saying you ride a Husqvarna. I know it's the same as a KTM. It's the same bike. But it would just...
It's got that heritage sort of name. Like it's like I have something made by a chainsaw company.
Yeah, I'm riding a chainsaw.
Yes.
I'll name it Limp Bizkit and just
like a chainsaw, rub your ass raw.
What a horrible song. Forgot how bad it was.
Limp Bizkit is the best worst band ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know any other way to say it, but like it's kind of a guilty pleasure. It's one of those things where you're like...
That break stuff was a great song. I was like...
Oh, yeah, there's that. There's the rollin'. That
one I never really cared for. It never quite struck a chord, but the break stuff is so...
Oh, there's other ones.
What's another one that was a guilty... There was one that I kept citing people, and it was Metallica singing Creed. And I was just trying to trigger people. It's like what Metallica would sound like if they sounded good.
Oh, that was brutal. You sent me that. I listened to that. I'm like, oh man, AI failed. Like nothing about this sounds good.
And I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking, yeah. And it's put with Metallica voice, and I'm like, oh,
mixing the two is brutal.
Oh, and I was just looking to trigger people because I'm like, I just want to piss people off.
Yeah. I wonder, there was a time where Creed seemed like a guilty pleasure. I think now everybody's kind of just settled on like, yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. I was always a fan. Always a fan. I never did that. I don't think I ever jumped the bandwagon and called them a giant piece of shit band. Like, I kind of like them. I just kept it quiet. Like being a Jew back in the 80s, trying to go to Harvard, you just keep it to yourself.
I think one of their biggest problems is just overexposure.
Oh yeah,
like it's just like once you're
it's
like
Nickelback. It's a Nickelback effect.
Yeah, it's like you so out there in so many songs that they play so many times an hour on the radio. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so over this.
Yeah, and
after you already say I'm so over this, and you're like, everybody needs a break. Then another album and 3 singles comes out that's all played for the year. And you're like, God, no.
Yep. What was that? Didn't they have a song on the Spider-Man soundtrack too?
I know Nickelback did.
Oh, yeah, Nickelback did. Hero. That's the one that I'm thinking of that just hurt my brain.
I think, that may have been the moment.
That was a nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah, like between that and the Photograph song, I'm like, oh nope, I'm done. It's like, cause like even the album that had Photograph on it, like had some good songs on there.
I have no idea.
It did have a couple songs on there that was like, okay, this is good hard rock. Like there's a specific song called Bullet. Like
that was a mainstream. That was
on the side of a bullet. Like that was a kick-ass song. It had a solo on from the late great Dimebag Darrell.
Oh, did it?
Like, yeah, like after he died, but like they found a solo that he'd written that had never been released, and they were good friends with him.
Oh,
so they wrote a song around that solo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Solo, yeah. Which is a neat, like that's a neat thing, and I can look back and appreciate that for what it is now. But there was a moment where I was so burnt out on Nickelback And it's like, nope. And they never recovered. Like, nothing from them has ever been like, oh, this is new and interesting. It's like, oh, this is Nickelback rehashing Nickelback again. Sorry, I don't have the time to spend.
Yeah. I can proudly say I never spent money. No, I never had a single Nickelback album. Not only did I not spend money on it, but I didn't own one. Because it's one thing to say, it's like, oh, I never spent money, but I had a couple. Like, you just kind of found them or whatever. Nope, not a single one. And it's not a big pride thing. It's just, I just never
Nickelback was kind of on their coming up when I was first kind of allowed to get secular music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for me, like,
you're Canadian, Mom and Dad.
It wasn't that. It was just, it was just this moment where, like, this new world of secular music had opened up to me, and I didn't know anything other than, like, listening to my little FM radio that I had in my room that was an alarm clock.
Yeah.
Other than turning that on to The Bear, back in the day, and hearing Never Again by Nickelback. That was all the mainstream hard rock that I'd really encountered.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, I had lots of Christian stuff.
Yeah.
But that was the first kind of like, oh, this is a secular band. It wasn't mainstream to me. To me, it was like, oh, nobody else knows about this because my clique, we're all about that's POD and Pillar and Skillet and and all these kind of things, right? So, like, at that time, like, me being the guy listening to Nickelback was kind of the edgy outsider thing to do. As weird as that sounds. And, and there was some great songs on that album. Like, I can't deny that was a part of my musical journey was actually going and buying that album. And then, like, but there also came this moment where I was like, oh, wow, this is really bad. I think that album stands up.
Yeah.
Over time as a popular rock album.
Yeah.
But man, everything they've done since then is just kind of like this caricature of of that album.
I know I'm laughing at you when it comes to, where you came from when it comes to, being the outsider. My first ever cassette was Ace of Base.
Ah, yes.
I got in trouble for that one.
Oh, yeah?
My next one was Shania Twain. So I can laugh at all I want, but at the same time, my first albums that I had that were not Christian were Ace of Base and Shania Twain.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
So I'm like, I got no ground to stand on this one. At least yours was hard rock, and
at least there was that. Like, I remember when I first bought the Creed album that has Sacrifice on it.
Oh yeah,
I forget which one that is. Might be Weathered.
Maybe. I don't remember. That's the thing. I've been so out of the loop with them for so long that there was 6 Feet. There was Weathered. It's the one with 6 Feet. And
So it's Weathered.
Yeah.
So when I first bought that album, I remember my little sister coming up to me and being like, "Yeah, Devin, I'm concerned about you."
Your sister?
Yeah, my little sister. My little sister gave me the Christian gut check about the music I was listening to because of Creed.
That's so funny. Oh, and knowing your sister now and where she came from and what she...
I remember one day when I hopped in my little sister's car, and all of a sudden I hear it was like Black Eyed Peas, like my humps like blasting out of it. I'm like, oh really?
That's so funny. I don't want to speak disparagingly of your sister because I love her to death.
She's lovely, but this is the kind of
sibling.
This is the kind of sibling stuff that you come in when music is a tricky thing in your religious upbringing, right? Because you kind of have those tit for tat kind of moments as you.
The thing is,
come of age,
and by disparagingly, I want to make jabs at her, but in love, it's just things that she's done or come from, which she's, again, great person, love her to death. But there are things that you could say and be like, oh, really? You don't think my music's fine? Huh? and be like, no, but I love her too much and I would never do that
had-
without her being here to defend herself. I would totally
had
do it if she was here.
I had no legs to stand on because if you looked in my Discman at the time, I probably had the Eminem show in it. So like that's
You showed off, Creed. You were going to show off Eminem. You
No,
knew that was a line too far.
That was something
That was a bridge too far?
That was something that came later. I bought that when I was in Bible college. See?
Oh, how much younger is your sister than you?
3 years.
Wow. So the age difference that you and I have, because I look at Nickelback and I'm like, they were, they were weak when I was 15, 16. So, and I'm like, oh, you would have been coming into your own.
Yeah, right about then.
Yeah, because we got, I always forget that I'm a little, I don't forget that I'm a little older.
Well, because like
just,
when we met each other, that age gap is irrelevant.
Yes. Yeah.
But when you're a sibling that's grown up, I graduated, like I was an adult while my sister was still in high school. You know, like so it's that 3-year gap seems so much bigger when you're adolescent. But when you're a grown up that has your own house and place, whatever, 3 years means jack shit.
Yes. Heck, now I meet some 50, 60-year-old guys and I'm like, oh, I thought wisdom came with age. I guess it's
I thought there was more gap between us, but nay, there is not.
Nay. I do realize something that I just turned 39, and 40 is not far away, and I'm not scared of it at all. I really do feel like 40 is the new 30. Like it's not bad.
Yeah, it is. Like when I was young. When I found out somebody was like 60, they looked older than dust to me. It was like bone white hair. It was like you need a walker. Like
and their skin didn't even look healthy. Like their skin looked worse.
Right? And like now, like when I look at my dad, he's 60. I'm like, frick, dude, like you're spry. Like you're still working hard. Like I know you're feeling it more than you used to.
Yes.
But you're still working harder than most people half your age.
Yep.
It's like and you're having fun.
Yeah.
You're having a good life. You dress well. And maybe it was dressing. Maybe there was like when we were kids, old people dressed old.
Yes.
Like and now they're like there's a more of an acceptance of like keeping with the times as far as like how you your decorum.
Yeah.
And maybe that helps, but it really feels like 40, 50, 60 is not what it used to be.
Yeah. So the fact that I'm turning 40 next year, not even worried. Like I don't feel like I'm 40. Not worried about it. It's got nothing on me. So yeah. I'm excited because again, I don't feel it.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. Like in the next 10 years, like between 39 and I guess 50.
Yeah,
it's like you're gonna have kids start to graduate. Like you're gonna go through like a real
Gideon in 10 years. In the next 10 years, Gideon could have a kid.
Yeah, right. Like
that's not outside the realm of possibility.
You'd think things are gonna change so much and so rapidly. Like your 30s. Was actually, that was a big change.
Yeah.
But like right now, it's kind of like it's in a stasis.
Yeah.
But I think this next 10 years, you're going to see more, more rapid changes of life.
I got 3 girls. It's going to...
Like you might get to kill somebody for them. Who knows?
If this podcast goes off the air, it's because it probably killed somebody.
Can you imagine, like... Are we still going to do this in 10 years?
Oh, if we're getting paid.
If we're getting paid.
By the world's best vodka. Vodka 203.
Vodka.
It's vodka.
All right. Well, on the note of vodka, maybe we should wrap this up. I know we didn't have a topic today, but... I
don't know. That Neuralink thing was pretty cool. I'm like, terrifying. But...
Terrifying. But this was just a good... chill session.
If you have a topic idea for us, let us know and we'll ignore it.
We will ignore it because we have a whole whiteboard there full of topics that we never tackle. Instead, we were like, what do you feel like today?
Mike had jokes.
Mike. we needed a release valve episode, one where we were just like, let's just shoot the breeze without feeling we had to go anywhere.
That is the problem. Last time we had no jokes.
That was it. We did. We promised We promised them we would make up for it.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes. We did this for you.
For you. We made this for you.
All right, guys. God bless.